All right. I think this is the only ride I've done by myself this week. So we'll try this again. I'm trying the microphones again. I think what happened last week was when I stopped to go see some friends, and I went inside at their skating speed practice. I went inside and I had Kit took the mic with me. I think it lost connection with the camera and turned itself off, and I didn't realize that. So we'll try that. I also messed with the volume settings, and we'll see if maybe it won't get blown out so much. And maybe the mic's just not a great idea. Of course, either way, I'm probably going to do what I talked about last week, which may have been while it was muted or not on. But I will probably, use this raw audio to develop a script and maybe do a voiceover. Well, I won't say I'll probably do that. I'm going to see if that works better for this. So we'll see. So this is Mohawk Park. I like riding through Mohawk Park. Because once you get through this gate here, there's like two more gates like it. But once you get through this gate here, again, I like serene places, and this feels very serene. Now the road is not the greatest, and it's definitely not. It's not maintained, and definitely gets debris on it. It's not really a road. I mean, I think it is technically a road, but no cars ever drive on it because of those gates, unless they're official vehicles. So it doesn't get, the debris never gets like taken out by all the cars that are coming by. But we're in the middle of a nature preserve here, and that's kind of cool. Someday I'd like to, there's some trails that go off into the woods on either side. Someday, like there's one we just passed, I'd like to bring my gravel bike and see if that's allowed. I don't know if it's not allowed or not. Don't see any signs saying no biking on the trails. Never seen bikers on the trails. So I'd like to come out here and just ride around on them, just because it'd be kind of neat. Today it's going to be a pretty easy ride. We've gone a little bit harder last few days, and see, there's a lake trail going off to the right there. That'd be pretty cool. So I'm just gonna take it easy, get some new roads in, and just talk about whatever's on my mind. Not doing a lot of hills today. Shows I'm like, well, I almost had my weekly elevation goal on Friday, and I think I didn't look at it exactly, but just adding it up in my head, I knew I was, you know, within 100 feet of the elevation goal for the week. And so, and that's my like hard goal, the one that I set on Strava. Of course, the goal in my head is about 2,000 more feet than that, but I'm already past that. So this week, today is just, you know, going chill and just having a good, easy ride to finish the week, because I've done all the stuff throughout the rest of the week to have the ability to do that and not have a problem with my goals. I am closing the gap on my annual goal, which is nice too. Earlier in the year, I was like, I don't know, 40,000 feet behind my annual goal. And this was like in April. Because I had a, you know, when it's cold, you just don't get as many miles. And so that kind of cut into stuff. And then I had got the worst case of the flu I've ever had in my life. Like, I actually went to the emergency room for it because it got so bad. Couldn't sleep because of all the coughing, and certainly couldn't ride for like 3.5 weeks or so. And that really put me behind too. So I got like 40 days behind now. And at that point I was like, well, I don't feel like I'm getting caught up at all. So maybe I just don't hit my goal this year. But now I'm closing in on catching up. I'm now only like 15, 16 days behind my annual goal. So I'm thinking maybe that's going to work out. Okay. Oh, car. And after today, I'm not going to hit my daily goal. So my goal is 1,000 feet of climbing every day. So 365,000 a year. And the route I planned for today has like 700. So I will lose a little bit on today, but that's also going to put me at like 10,000 for the week, which is, you know, that means I've gained 3 days over the whole week. So you got to have easy days and hard days. And I'll probably, we'll see. I might just post this video raw. I'll show you the sped up version because I like that one. But I'll put this raw so that people can see everything that, or hear all my other comments. And then the best stuff I have, I'll probably cut up and do a voiceover for. I'm liking that idea. I save all the raw videos to YouTube anyway, but I keep them private. Mostly because, like, especially if I'm with people, I don't talk about my thoughts a lot. We talk about, we might talk about things that are happening in the cycling world, or, you know, a few personal things, but mostly we're just talking about what's going on in that moment. And that's fine. It doesn't make for very engaging content. I don't know that what I do is make engaging content, but at least I like the idea of getting my thoughts and opinions out there for people who are interested enough to hear what I think about. And that feels a little weird when you're in a group ride. So I usually don't talk about that stuff in a group ride. So I did this week. I decided to, you know, as things pop up throughout the week, I'll make a list of things that I want to talk about. Just get things off my chest and stuff. So one of them was the use of ridicule when in discourse, because it's kind of, I'm sure it's been a thing for a long time. It's probably been a thing since for all of human history, but I noticed, you know, a few people that I've been interacting with recently, and they're not ridiculing me, but they're ridiculing others. I'm probably too I don't know, non-confrontational to really merit a whole lot of ridicule from these people. But so one thing I don't get is the purpose of ridicule. It doesn't seem to be, like, to me, discourse is a way of, if not changing minds, at least reaching a point where two people understand each other's minds. So, like, I may not agree with the things that you're thinking, but at least I want to know what you're thinking. And that's what the purpose of discourse is. And, you know, in the best case scenarios, you're not only reaching an understanding of each other, but agreement with each other. But that's not, that's more, that's not a thing that you're going to find happens a lot. But at least understanding each other is to me the reason that the reason to have discourse. And ridicule doesn't seem like it has a function. It doesn't seem to serve the function of that. It serves to alienate the person you're talking to, and I don't know, make you feel superior, I guess. Morning. But I don't see how it could it doesn't it 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 brings you more separate. It makes you um, it dehumanizes the other person. If you're ridiculing someone else, it dehumanizes that person in your mind, so that you don't have to worry about or think about or give any credence to them even having a an opinion that's reasonable to them, whether it's reasonable to you or not. It means you don't even have to think, hey, maybe it's reasonable to them. And that's not great, in my opinion. Like, first of all, everyone, no one, well, I don't say no one. I'm sure, because if I say no one, there will be someone who does. But the vast majority, there would only be an infinitesimally small amount of people who hold opinions that they don't find reasonable. They find it reasonable. And the question is not, is it reasonable to me? Anyway, the question is it a reasonable opinion to hold? It's, especially if I find it not a reasonable position to hold, the question is, why do they find it reasonable when I don't? And I want to know that, because there could be a whole bunch of reasons why they're holding an opinion that is unreasonable to me. And what if the reason for holding it is actually a good one, and I've missed out? I'm the one that's being unreasonable. But also, what if the reason they're holding that position is, or opinion, is because they think my opinion is unreasonable because they don't understand my reasons. And if we can find a way to, at least agree on it, I don't remember this gate being here. I've only been on this road once, and I knew it's closed off to cars. Maybe it was. I kind of maybe I remember ducking under this. I bet you that guy in that trike just went right under it. I knew there was a reason I didn't like this. Came on here with a big group, and I was just following along. I didn't like it then because the road was not in great shape. Not Mohawk Valley. From where I turned onto Memorial by that sand pit. The road wasn't great. It was pretty gravelly. And people weren't calling stuff out. So, anyway. So, the only way you change someone's opinion is to show them that their position is less reasonable than another position. But if you get to the point where your only tool, or the only tool that you use, is ridicule, especially if that ridicule is not even related to their opinions or positions, you're not changing anybody's mind. You're not, they won't even relate to what you're saying because you're offending them or being offensive towards them, trying to, and because the things you're being offensive about aren't even related to the issue. That just has no place in discourse, in my opinion. And I would need some pretty hard convincing that it does have a place in discourse. Let me think. If I had to say what is the place for that kind of ridicule in discourse, it wouldn't be for the person you're talking to. It would be for people that are watching the conversation. And it would be that I guess people are watching are going to look at this guy being ridiculed and say, well, I don't want to be like that guy. I don't think that's going to work. Like, it's kind of like the debate. When you watch two people debate, I don't feel like formal debates, change anybody's mind. Because for the most part, if you poll the people who say who won the debate, it seems to follow along the lines of which side people already agreed with. So, like, what's the point then? The people that agreed with you before still agree with you, and the people that didn't agree with you before still don't. And so you ended up talking at someone for, I don't know, an hour and a half or whatever, and they talked at you for an hour and a half, and that was kind of the end of it. It's, I don't know, seems kind of pointless to me. No progress happened. You got to make some points maybe, and maybe, people might know things that they didn't know before, or have learned some facts. But it's not a good way to change people's minds. The way to change people's minds is to show them a reasonable. That's it. That you've got to say it's got to be reasonable. You've got to show that it's a reasonable opinion to have. So there's that. Tangential to that being the ridicule thing anyway. I was talking to some guy last night, guy I'd never spoken to, although we've almost bumped into each other, but he was having connection issues at the other time and had to drop out and couldn't really, he was trying to say something and he hadn't really, he jumped into a conversation and tried to say something, and connection issues, he was just roboting pretty badly and had to drop off, and I never even could understand what his question was. Like, I couldn't, it was too garbled. So he showed up last night when I was talking to some other guy. And he got to ask his questions, some questions, and I answered them. And like, his questions were like, as an atheist, what's my purpose in life? And it's like, well, like, there is no no cosmic being ascribing to me a purpose. I make my own purpose, you know, and you know, I can see how if you think a cosmic being has such a cosmic purpose, the idea that you would just ascribe your own purpose can be uncomfortable and all. But you know, I get it. The idea that things are random. There is, and I mean not random, but essentially random. Random in the sense that we cannot predict what will happen. I don't think anything is like truly random in the like no has no reason to happen, but it's random in the sense that we can't predict it. So you know, the idea that things are random and not under the control of some being, that your purpose isn't given to you from a cosmic being. I mean, yeah, that can be pretty uncomfortable. I get that. Anyway, so this guy, they're asking me several questions. I'm answering them, you know, as honestly as I could. He says, and you know, I want to try to go back and rewatch the video to see if I heard things right, and so I might be misrepresenting this guy because I'm just going off my memory, because the video was the channel we're on, they by default hide their videos for some reason. Their live streams they hide by default. I think they, you know, maybe make them public again later, but it's hidden now. I couldn't go back and watch it, so I could be misrepresenting this guy. But here's what it sounded like he was saying to me. He was like, at one point he was like, you know, I want to be mean to you, but you're just being too nice, and I can't bring myself to do that. And it's like, what does that say about you? That your inclination is to be uncharitable to people you interact with that you disagree with. Like, that's what you want to do. That doesn't lead to productive conversations at all. Never will. Because productive conversations only happen when you take emotions out of the conversation. And if you're intentionally being uncharitable to the person and looking for ways to be uncharitable, you're trying to provoke emotions, you're not trying to take those emotions out of, you're not trying to minimize emotions, you're trying to maximize the emotions. And that doesn't lead to productive conversation. Emotions don't change people's mind. Well, I guess maybe emotions do change people's mind, but not as much as rational thinking does. And everyone uses rational thinking as much as they are able. Oh, come on. So yeah, trying to keep emotions out of the discourses should be the goal, and not counter to what you're trying to do. Somewhere along this road used to be a skating rink that I would go to sometimes, and it was the smallest skating rink I've ever been in. Let's see if I can pick out the building. If it's still there, it is Johnson Floor and Home. This place has changed a lot since then. Like that building was by itself, and nothing else was around here at the time. All right, another topic I wanted to talk about. I don't remember why this crossed my mind, but you hear a lot of people like that, especially people that care about or listen to Frank Turek a lot. He's probably the most prominent person that like talks about this the most, in my experience, and that is saying that atheists think there is no truth. I don't know anyone who thinks there is no truth. That's just not people think there's truth. You have to be really you have to be incredibly esoteric to think that there is no truth. And atheists I don't think any atheists say that. But Frank Turek, whatever they're saying to him, he takes it to mean that, or takes it to at least present that they're saying there is no truth. What I think they're probably saying is, because, most, if they're a philosophical atheist, there's some atheists who just don't think about it. There's people who just don't think about concepts and stuff, and don't try to get to the underlying, reasoning or whatever for anything. But if they think about it and try to reason, what they'll say is not that there is no truth, but rather I can't know when I know the truth. Because there could always be some data or fact that I don't know that recontextualizes the facts and data that I do know. And that recontextualization means that my conclusions were wrong. But I didn't know that until I had this new data. So that seems what it's more likely. And he's either intentionally or just out of ignorance not understanding what they're saying. And honestly, Frank Turek, he seems like he's had an education of some sort. Had a lot of chances to understand what this stuff, what people are saying. And I find that, and for other reasons as well, but I find that, I think maybe it's on purpose. He doesn't want to find anything but his own positions reasonable. And so he finds ways to find them unreasonable. And it's not just like, it's like, well, here's what I mean by reasonable. Because, like, I think that given a certain set of starting points, young earth creationism is a reasonable thing to believe. I don't think it's true. And I think but I don't think the positions you arrive at from those starting points are unreasonable. The problem is the starting points. But what it seems like Frank Turek tries to do is that not only are your starting points wrong, but everything after that follows from those starting points is also like not done, not reached at a very for good reasons. Like here's what I'm saying. If he started with the starting points that I start with, he would never come to the same conclusions that I do, because my reasoning is wrong as well as my starting points. I think that's what Frank Turek does. So he looks for ways to say, oh, well, you're starting from here, and this thing that you're saying, this conclusion you're drawing from that also has to be unreasonable for some reason. And so let's find the way the conclusion doesn't follow from your premise, so we can say that you're just bad at reasoning. I wanted to come by this place. I wanted to see this Wheels and Thrills. That's another skating rink. And they started a few years ago. Well, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago. I was curious to see if they were still around, and they are. So Frank Turek says, not only is your reasoning is wrong, and I don't know why he does that. It seems very, it seems uncharitable to just assume people's reasoning is different than your reasoning. So that's about all I have to say on the idea that there is no truth. And of course, I do believe there is truth. I don't believe I can know I believe I can know the truth even. But I can't have 100% confidence that what I know is the truth, or even when I know the truth, I can't have 100% confidence that I know the truth. And that's the problem, I think. I think that's where the misunderstanding is coming in. I think Frank Turk is mistaking confidence in knowing the truth for knowing the truth, or there being truth. I had a guy, speaking of confidence, I had a guy once tell me, you know, if he were to drop a pen on a table, we were sitting at a table, and he picked up a pen, and he said, if you were to drop that pen, does he know it would fall onto the table? And he said he has a pretty high confidence that it would be, but it's not 100% confidence. And, you know, at the surface, that seems like a kind of a ridiculous position to hold, because, like, what else would the pen do? But, you know, after thinking about it for a while, and of course I understood, I kind of understood, but after thinking about it for a while, I even, like, I was like, okay, yeah, I get what you're saying from, you know, what you're saying, you can't have 100% confidence in future events, even though they would seem to be a certainty. You can't be certain. But after thinking about it, I was like, okay, so what would justify you not having that confidence that it would, the pen would fall to the table if you were to drop it? So, like, at first I was like, okay, you've got maybe the laws of gravity just switch off, and that's just what happens, and the pen just doesn't drop, because, you know, you can't be confident that the laws of gravity will stay the same the next minute. And that seems like a ridiculous thing, because that's, like, never happened in the history of the universe. But, you know, and so that doesn't seem like, until something like that were to even give an idea if that's possible, that would be kind of an unreasonable thing to say. But one thing you could say about this pen is, well, what if, you know, an active shooter, you know, were in the building and you didn't know it, and you drop the pen and they shoot a bullet and it just happens to hit that pen and the pen goes flying across the room. Now that's also unlikely. You know, most people never see an active shooter, but that's something that has happened. There have been active shooters, and shooters can hit, or bullets can hit pens and make them fly across the room. It's an incredibly unlikely scenario, but it is within the realms of experiences that we do know happen. And so, yeah, I get it. You don't have 100% confidence. Something could happen that would not counteract, something can happen, and not something that we don't have any experience before, but many things within our experience could happen that would keep that pen from falling to the table. So yeah, 100% confidence, even in things that seem a certainty, is not warranted. And because you can't account, if you could account for every possible outcome, you would obviously have multiple different outcomes in every situation. And so you can't be certain, 100% certain of any single outcome. Road work ahead. I wonder what that means. I don't think I've ever been on this road at all. Maybe I have. Kind of looks familiar, like maybe one time when when I was in high school, when I was in high school, my parents and my brother, the oldest of my younger brothers, I'm the oldest, but he's the second brother. He or second son. He didn't get along with my parents very well at all. I remember there was this one time he was playing baseball, and my mom really wanted to go, or maybe it was football. I don't know. It was some sport, and my mom really wanted to go watch his game. It was far away from where we lived. We're probably right now we're probably about an hour from our house. She really wanted to go watch his game to show him that she cared about her, or that she cared about him. I don't think, I mean, at the time I thought that was silly. That's not going to, I don't think that's what he was looking for, is showing up at sports games. God damn. But just can't wait. You have to slow down, and that's not acceptable. So you're just going to get into the other lane into someone that's coming right at you, so that they have to slow down. That doesn't make any sense. What was I talking about? Oh, so I don't think it moved the bar on him in any way, the way my mom wanted it to. But she was trying whatever she could. Hey, those people were at least kind enough not to run me over. That's why you signal. So they know, hey, I'm getting ready to make a turn. If you try to pass me, you're going to just hit me. Well, looks like we've got a pretty strong south wind. It's not going to be fun going back. That's okay, though. It's, like I said, it's a pretty flat route, and most of it's still ahead of me. This is a nice road. Pretty smooth. I like tarmac. I had someone post that fresh pavement is the best for cycling, but I don't agree. Fresh pavement has expansion joints cut into it, and tarmac doesn't. So even if the best finisher in the world came and finished your pavement, you're still going to have cracks in it the minute it's made. And tarmac can get, like this is not great tarmac. You can get pretty messed up. So can pavement or concrete, but I don't know. You get brand new tarmac that is solid and well done, and it's just so smooth. Morning. And that smoothness translates to not just a nice ride, but also a lot of speed that you don't get otherwise. Let's see how we're doing on time. Been going about an hour. So we'll stop somewhere and swap mics. Just for this is kind of cool. All right, got the mic swapped. Let's check the battery on the camera. It should still be good for a while. Yeah. All right. Let's do this. Okay. Oh, this is a sidewalk. I don't want to be on a sidewalk. Oh, you know what? I should probably look up the next topic. I've rambled a little bit, got off my topics, but I know I had at least one or two more that I'd wanted to talk about. Let's see. Oh, I kind of was trying to understand versus trying to misunderstand, but I kind of covered that, I think. So that's it for today, I guess. As far as planned topics. I'm sure other things will come to mind as I ride around. Let's bring up the map. And whew, that's obnoxious. I'm gonna get back on Main Street. I like these old main streets. They have character. We've got 1897 Bistro. Hey, I think I did a job in that building. I think. Let's see. No, maybe that was in Skytook. Skytook and Collinsville feel like very similar downtowns. They're kind of both east-west main streets kind of look the same. And I don't see, there's a Italian restaurant in Skytook that isn't here. So, uh, huh. It's been a while since I've been in Collinsville. And there's a few things I remember that I'm not seeing. Maybe they were back behind me and I missed them. And I should have just stayed on that other road because I'm just going to get back over to it in a second. I'm using a different bike computer than my normal one. It's my older bike computer, or an older bike computer, because I forgot to charge my newest bike computer last night, and I didn't look at what battery level it was when I ended the ride yesterday, but I started the ride at like 40%, which means it was probably around 25 or 30% by the time I finished my ride yesterday. And I usually charge my computers when they get to 30% or below, and I wouldn't normally try to ride with it. Well, no, actually, I take that back. Before I bought the new computer, and I just had this one that worked, I would have ridden with it, but also recorded on my phone, so that if nothing else, if the computer died on the road or on the way, I could just use the record from my phone. And then if it didn't die, I would delete the phone record. But now that I have two computers that both work, I thought this one was dying, and so I just went ahead and bought another computer. And turns out, I think it was a software update that had just made it work different than I was used to. Because the other one's doing some of the same stuff that this one was doing. The brand new one is. So now I have two computers that are basically, functional. And I just have one as a backup in case something happens. I just keep it with me in my cycling pack with all my other accoutrements. And in case I can't use my newest computer for some reason, I can just pull that one out and use it. I don't remember why I was talking about that. Road closed ahead. I think I go straight here though. Yeah. I'm turning. And I forgot the signal. Good thing no one was coming behind. So anyway, so this computer is set up a little differently. I changed the setup on the new computer. What pages I have, what's on the pages. And this one's set up with the previous pages that I had set up. And I changed them for a reason, and now I'm used to those pages, and now this is that doing it. I think I need to get a little more, I don't know. Like I have a page for batteries that shows me battery levels, and I like that. I like having that ability, because then when I get like on my shifting, it'll say I have a low battery on my gear selection, which is great. I want to know that I have a low battery on my gear selection when I do. The problem is, that's the message no matter which battery is dead, and I have to go in and figure out which gear selector is actually got a low battery, so I can swap that battery out. And it's a lot easier to do that if it's just hitting a button on my bike computer. I think that information might be available in the sensor settings on the my computer, but I'm not sure that is the case, and it's getting to the sensor settings is not fast. It's not super slow, but it isn't fast. It's not like just hitting a button a couple times. Or I can look it up on my phone, which, since that's an app on your phone, so you have to pull out your phone, unlock it, open that app, and then that app has to connect to the sensors, because it doesn't stay connected to the gear selection unless you're running the app. So that's even more of a pain. And my computer's already connected, so I can just hit a page. But, so I like having that page. But it means anytime I'm scrolling through my pages, to get to the map, to get to my stats. And I have a couple of other pages set up. One for, like, if I'm climbing, I don't care about speed. There's other stats I want to know when I'm climbing a hill, especially if I'm like doing a hill climbing focused ride. The stats on my main page are not the ones that I'm interested in. So I have a different page set up for climbing and stuff. So I have to scroll through a bunch of pages. Wish there was a way to trigger a certain page to only show up at certain times. And otherwise it gets skipped. I don't think that's an option, though. It does make me wonder, though. I wonder if there's a way to hook up the action camera to my phone as like a live camera. If I did that, I could actually live stream this. And that'd be kind of neat. Maybe. If I could get that figured out, that'd be pretty cool. Did come across a couple weeks ago a guy live streaming his Zwift ride. I don't think he expected anyone to watch it, though, because he wasn't saying anything. He was just kind of sitting there doing nothing, really. Railroad tracks. Oh, there's this railroad crossing near my house, and I went over one time this week, and this big piece of angle iron, like they had pavers. It wasn't the rails, but it was, they have like pavers on some of the railroad tracks, railroad crossings, and they have angle iron bounding it, I guess. Well, somehow the angle iron had snapped at a corner, it looked like, and twisted and was sticking up into the road like about 2 feet. So I called the railroad, said, hey, you know, I'm at this railroad crossing and you're going to have I'm worried that some car's going to get like skewered or something on this angle iron, because it was sticking up like towards one of the directions the cars would be coming from. It wasn't like sticking straight up. It was sticking out at like a 30-degree angle. So I called them and said, hey, you got this piece of metal that's sticking up in the road. She said, oh, that's a spike. I was like, no, it's not a spike. It's some kind of piece of angle iron, and it's sticking up about 2 feet. And you could skewer a car with it. So I wasn't sure what they do about it. I mean, I figured they'd come by and take it off at some point. But they took care of it within a few hours, because when my wife came home, she said it wasn't there. And I'd warned her about it. I was like, hey, earlier today there was this piece of angle iron at the railroad crossing. Just be aware of that. Because people will go fast over that railroad crossing. And like, it was noticeable in broad daylight, but I could see it being hard to spot once it starts getting a little bit darker. So I just warned her about it, but she said it was gone by then, which is good. That's what you want. It's kind of concerning though, you know. Like, I always wonder how they know the rails are safe and not going to cause a derailment. And I mean, I assume they have regular inspections and they have a schedule that they maintain to make sure and everything's safe, nothing's happened. And not only that, but that not only that everything's safe, but that it's like well beyond safe. And if it gets even close to, not even close, but if it starts getting 50% towards unsafe, they go ahead and proactively take care of that. Now, that's probably naive to think that a corporation is that concerned about the safety of other people. In fact, they probably aren't. They probably know they have it built into the budget, X number of fatal accidents every year, and what we're going to have to pay for that. It's just a budget line item that we are going to kill this many people this year. And I don't know, maybe, it's going to happen. Even if you have a perfect railroad, someone's going to, you're going to kill someone throughout, over the time. So, you do have to have that budget. But I'd like to think that they also take the safety, the best steps they can towards maintaining safety as well. Man, my allergies today. It's pretty windy. It's Probably messing with my allergies. I don't ride up in Owasso, Collinsville area much. I have ridden up here before, but I couldn't tell you if I've actually ever been on this specific road or not. I kind of think this might be, except for one ride, the furthest north I've ever been. And that one ride was on the other side of the highway, out towards, well, actually, I don't know. There's a lake out there. Out there and towards that and Claremore. That was when I first started riding with people and I was trying to get my endurance and speed up, and thought I could. This one guy posted a ride on, we use an app here in Tulsa called Ride Alert. And it's used in other places, but it's not used everywhere. But in Tulsa, it's the app you use to find rides. This road looks pretty busy. I may go to the next road down and turn there. I'm supposed to turn here on Memorial, but I just saw several cars go by and they weren't even slowing down. So I'm thinking maybe Sheridan would be a better road to be on. Rather than poking at the locals who aren't used to having cyclists and don't want cyclists. Yeah, I'm going to go to Sheridan. It's a 2-lane road, no shoulder, with 50-mile-an-hour roads. I'm going to end up going, I think to Yale or Harvard. So I'm not going to add any miles. It's just taking a slightly different route. And it turns out this is a nice road. Look at that tarmac. Almost no cracks. Pretty smooth for here. No telling when this stops. Looks like it might be a little rougher up ahead. Well, let's see. We are at 20 miles. I think my route was only like 36, 37 miles today. Not a long, super long route for today, but long enough just to get a little outing in and just talk about things. And like I said at the beginning, just a nice, easy end of the week. And pleasant way to just, talk about the things I've thought about this week. That's an interesting house, made of cinder blocks. I don't see many cinder block houses. Not around here anyway. I usually associate cinder block residential structures with like lake cabins, because that's where I've seen them the most. Yeah, I like this road. I'll have to get some people who want to ride in this area. This is like, not many people ride in the northeast of Tulsa for some reason. I don't know why. Ooh, that horse is mad at me. It's nice. I feel raindrops. Is this going to be another Sunday where I get rained on? I don't see any rain in the distance. Maybe it's just sprinkling a little bit and that's going to be all I get. I'm feeling some raindrops. And man, it's like every Sunday we're going to get rained on. Or every other Sunday, I guess. I think since I started doing videos, and I'd have to go back and look, but I want to say maybe, let's see, was I doing, yeah, okay. So I've been doing it 3 weeks. And the first Sunday, I got rained on pretty hard. Second Sunday, we went through rain. And now, here's the third Sunday and coming again. I don't know what's going on with that. Well, we turned into the wind. So now it's time to fight the wind all the way back. Or most of the way back. Got some good downhills though, if I remember correctly. So I don't remember like any major uphills. It's probably more like false flats going up to them and then good downhill. So that makes it easier. Oh, okay. I think I see where I went down Memorial. I am going to have to add some miles. Because Sheridan doesn't go all the way through. So, let's see if I want to go. I'm going to have to go back to Memorial. Nothing else for it. It's either that or get on the highway, which has a shoulder, at least, but it's also an actual highway and not just something everyone treats kind of like a highway. Like it's got limited access and everything. And it's probably 75 miles an hour here instead of 50. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do Memorial and not the highway. And just hope for the best. It'll be fine, I'm sure. It's Sunday morning. Most people are going to be in church. Or in bed. So we'll be fine. That's a cool bridge. Progress through partnership. Stan, Sally, and Keith Austin put in new tarmac. Again, Owasso's got it going on apparently. Or North Tulsa County. It's not really Owasso anymore. Or we're not in Owasso anymore. I don't think this ever was Owasso. Maybe I'll go, let's see here. Yeah. Could add 2 more miles and go to Mingo and then come back instead of going to Memorial. I think. Does it go all the way through? Looks like it does. That put me about 40 miles for the day, I think. So that's not too bad. How many miles am I at total right now? I am at 22, which is about right. Of course, that does put me more chance of getting into rain if it's coming. I should probably stop and check the weather. And that'll decide whether I'm going to add miles or not. Because I'm tired of being rained on, you know? Sprinkles are fine. Rain and especially thunder. Or lightning, rather. Not so fine. And rain, like, I mean, it's not bad. You can ride in the rain. It's those are some cyclists. Let's see here. And he was standing out there and waved at me at his RV. Let's see here. We've got mostly cloudy. Well, 0 to 2% rain, so we're going to add the miles. All right. I say they're cyclists because they've got a bike rack with bikes on the back of their pickup. Look like either hybrids, or maybe electric hybrids or electric mountain bikes. It was kind of a long driveway, so I couldn't really see them very, very well. And multiple bikes, so they kind of disguise the shape of each individual bike. All right, so this is Memorial again. We'll go 1 more mile, then turn back south for a couple miles. And then head on back to, like I said, I think it's Yale. So how are we doing on time? Let's see. We've been 30 minutes since the last stop. So we're good for another few miles at least. Not breaking any speed records today. In another 30 minutes, I'll stop, change both batteries, or swap out mics again, and change the camera battery. And by then, should be last leg to get back to the truck. Oh, I think I know where I'm at. Maybe I do. We'll see. Maybe not. You know, had some childhood friends that lived somewhere up here, and I don't really even remember where. I went to their house. Well, they moved. Okay, let me organize my thoughts and figure out how I want to tell the story. Okay, so my parents were part of a cult when I was a kid, and this cult said, you know, you got to do certain things for your kids, you know, certain ways to raise your kids, and you know, we had this other family that was also in the cult with us, and we, oh, this is really cool. Like, I like this. I don't know. It's just, sorry, I'm lost my train of thought. I'll get back to that, but this is a cool intersection, I think. Look at that. That is just really, really cool. Okay, so my parents grew up in a cult. We had this other family that was also in the same cult. How to raise your kids certain ways. And you know, I didn't like the way my parents were doing it. I wanted to be like the normal kids, and I begged them and begged them, and finally my parents did give in and kind of and what it was is you were highly encouraged to homeschool your kids, so that we weren't exposed to the evils of the world. And I wanted to go be with other kids. I didn't want to be at home all day by myself. I felt ostracized whenever I was around kids because I hadn't developed the social skills you develop when you're around other kids your age. And so I was always the weird one. So so I begged my parents. They finally gave in, and while they didn't send me to public school, they did send me to a Christian school. So at least I was around other kids. Now, they still believed everything that the cult taught. But when they did that, this family that we were pretty good friends with, like, you know, our parents would take turns watching the kids so the other set of parents could go out for the evening every week. So like we had a pretty good relationship with this family. And when my parents stopped homeschooling me, this family said, we can't be associated with you anymore. It's kind of like getting kicked out of the cult. I mean, my parents still believed it, and like the cult didn't like outright encourage that behavior. In fact, while they encouraged you to homeschool your kids and said that's the best way, they didn't dictate that. So this is mostly the way this family reacted to us. Like, this family reacted to my family changing what we were doing. Anyway, but they had lived in this one house all through that time. And around that time, they moved out here somewhere. And we still, saw them a little bit. And we came out to their house a few times, but never enough for me to remember how to get to their house, not the one that's out here. So that's that story. I reconnected so that they had a daughter that was, about my age. And when I had Facebook, I came across a YouTube channel she had where she was talking about her experiences in this cult and how much it had affected her life. And I saw that and I connected to her on Facebook when I had a Facebook. I don't have Facebook anymore. But when I had a Facebook, I connected to her with her on it. And we kind of caught up a little bit. I was lucky. My parents, while they still believed in the cult, they didn't enforce the cult as strictly as her parents did. And man, as bad as I think I had it, she ended up much worse with it than I did. So it's heartbreaking when you think about children, when you think about children who are forced into a cult and, quote unquote, educated by the cult, which the cult is only going to educate you in ways and things that aren't going to challenge the cult. And these poor kids, they don't have a chance. A lot of them. They don't. Okay, I have been on this road before because I remember that water tower. This road, I don't know about the other roads, but I have been on this road before. So it's heartbreaking to see these kids who, you know, don't have a chance at developing. Oh, you're a menace, man. Protect your house. It's heartbreaking to have watch children who are deprived of the best chance at having an education and becoming a rational adult by cults. You know? And I feel like I was deprived of that somewhat as a child, but I was by no means the worst case that I know personally. It's definitely more severe cases of it. And I feel like I don't know what I feel like. I'm not angry about it. And I don't know if that's a problem or if that's because of the cult's philosophy having an influence on my development, or if it's just who I am. I don't get angry at stuff like a lot of people do. And it's a blessing, and having that problem is I don't even know if it's a problem, but having that is both a blessing and a curse. Because for one, I look at the people who get angry over stuff and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be angry. I like not being angry. So I don't want to be like these people. But on the other hand, that anger that they have over injustice, that empowers them to go and do something about the injustice in a way that it motivates them to go do something about the injustice. Then I know I should be motivated to do something about it, but I'm not motivated the way these people are. So, like, that's not great. I should do something about injustice. I should do more than I do. But I don't have that motivation that's necessary. So, I don't know. Let's see here. I think I'm just going to go straight here. I was going to turn right, but if this goes all the way through, and it looks like it almost does, I think I'll just, I was wrong. I don't think I've ever been on this road, but if I have, because thinking back about when I was here, it must have been another road that looked similar. So we're on brand new roads, not just new roads since I signed up for that Wanderer, but brand new roads I've never even been on. So, lazy Sunday. Let's do a little bit of exploring. And back to injustice. So, I don't know, I'm not motivated the way I should. I feel like I should be motivated to fight injustice. I don't support injustice. I do my best to not support it. And I do lightly oppose it. I point it out when I see it. But it's gentler. And opposing, so back to ridicule, opposing injustice is probably a good way to, or a good use of ridicule. And I'm not good at ridiculing people. I find, things that people ridicule that I see, I look at what happens and I'm like, okay, I don't agree with what they said or did, and it's not really bad stuff, but it's like maybe they flubbed something, or they said something that like is a little embarrassing, or they hold some well, okay, so maybe they said something that's a little embarrassing. Well, ridiculing the person for saying something that's, a little embarrassing, that's, I don't know. I'm just not the type that would do that. I don't think that's a good response. So I don't like ridicule. And when we talk about the opinions that you ridicule, I feel like there's a gradient, of opinions, and at some point, you do need to actively oppose these opinions, and you need to try to change their minds. But at other points on this gradient, like their opinions may be wrong, but they're not actively harmful. And so, like, they can have the opinions, do what you can to, like, clarify your opinion, understand their opinion, get to an understanding of their opinion, how they got to that opinion and all, but you don't need to, like, actively oppose it. It's not hurting anyone for them to have this opinion. So, yeah, that's that's where I'm at. I find a lot of the opinions that I disagree with that people hold to not be harmful. And so I don't have a visceral reaction to those opinions the way other people I've seen seem to get from it. Like, I don't have this opinion that you're wrong and you should feel bad for being wrong. Or feel stupid for having this opinion I disagree with. I don't do that. Ooh, that wind. Nah. And like, when you're talking about harm, that's also kind of like not black and white. Like, ultimately, like, if you were to know all of the various effects of holding a wrong opinion, there's probably some harm that comes from holding wrong opinions. But because if you have a wrong opinion, you will do some action based on that wrong opinion, and taking action based on wrong opinions is going to cause harm at some point, even no matter how minor it is or how tangential the harm is. If you hadn't taken this action, it would not have, that harm would not have happened. So taking action, holding wrong opinions will ultimately, I am convinced, will ultimately result in some amount of harm. But if the harm that is caused is so barely related to the action that I can't actually see how it causes it, or I can't connect those dots, I can't get upset about it. The only other way to deal with it is to say that everyone try to find some way to enforce everyone holding only correct opinions, which seems like a very daunting task, if it's even possible. Like, if you're only allowed to hold correct opinions, well, who decides what the correct opinion is? And that you are forced to hold. And once that's been decided, how do you force other people to hold this opinion? Like, at that point, what does an opinion even mean? So, I mean, it just seems, the idea of getting viscerally involved in every wrong opinion that you, or every opinion someone holds that you disagree with is an impossible task. And kind of arrogant, actually. Because, like, you're basically telegraphing that you think all your opinions are correct, which, I mean, you do. I do. I think every opinion I hold is the correct opinion to hold when taken individually. But I also admit collectively, testing, okay. The camera died. I thought I had another 15 minutes or so. Unlike yesterday where I lost about half a mile, maybe a mile of footage from when my camera died to when I found it, which I didn't realize that it died. We were going pretty fast yesterday and I couldn't hear it. Today I heard it and stopped at the next driveway to switch the battery. So anyway, what was I saying? Collectively, I know that I do hold incorrect opinions. So while I do believe that every opinion I hold is the correct one to hold, I'm not going to just outright dismiss an opposing opinion because maybe that's one of the opinions I hold that is not right. And so I'm going to at least entertain when I'm discussing with someone, I'm going to at least entertain the idea that the opinion I'm discussing right now is one of the wrong ones. And that I never really thought through it before. But I think that might be the key to discourse, at least what I think discourse should be. Realizing that the opinion you're discussing, your opinion that you're discussing with someone else right this moment, may in fact be one of the ones you held that is incorrect. Yeah, I'm definitely going to workshop this idea into a more in-depth video. I think most of the stuff I've said today could probably be combined into less rambling, more succinct, and tied together all together. I think it all relates. Ah, 106. I want to say oh man, so like I still off to the right there. I'm not going to do it though. Today's easy day. Man, I hope my mic's working well enough to pick up everything I've said today, because this is the kind of stuff that I want to get out. Ooh. That's a bad angle for that railroad. You know, last year, a guy named Dave went over railroads, not here, it was in Sapulpa, but they kind of came in at the same angle. His wheel got stuck in along one of the rails, and he ended up breaking his hip, like pretty seriously too. Like it was a pretty bad break. I don't like railroad crossings that come in at bad angles like that. I forgot to switch my mic as well. So next place I stop, should have switched my mic. Next place I find a stop, I'm gonna turn in, swap mics out. Because I think the mics only last like an hour. Bailey Ranch. Okay, I know where I'm at. I might just stroll through here actually. I think this goes through. Okay. Pull up the map while I'm swapping mics. It does go through, and it won't add any miles because I'm going to have to go that way anyway. All right. Mics are swapped. We'll do a little check. Check, check, check. Check, check. Is this thing on? Check. Check, check, check. Check. Yeah, it's on. Okay. All right. Let's get back moving. And zoom in on the map a little bit so we can see. Oh yeah, it's not only This goes all the way through. I won't even have to, I could go through this. It's a little bit of an upgrade, or grade up, I mean. Fun times. How are we doing on elevation anyway? We are, ooh, a little under, but I also changed the route quite a bit. And I know I ended up, I know there were some downhills. So I assume there was also some uphills. Time after time. Morning. Oh, I think the wind's even picked up. You know, that view is just as expansive as some others. It's not as pretty. There's too much highway. Your gas tap is sitting outside your gas door.
All right, appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
Just got gas, I didn't close that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. You know, being out of those buildings and wide open area, one's much easier to handle. I'm doing like 3 miles an hour faster than I was up there on that hill. Okay. Well, I thought I had everything to say. I'd said everything, but I do have more. I kind of thought I'd covered this topic, but you know what? Thinking back, I don't think. I mean, I covered the topic kind of, but I do have more to say. So last night, in that same conversation, but with the original guy, that not the one that came in and started asking me questions and then saying, I just can't find it in. I want to be mean to you, but I can't find myself being mean to you. So not that guy, but the original guy that I was talking with. You know, we're talking to him and we're using this analogy, and it's like he's not understanding the analogy, and no matter how much we explain to him, he just keeps going back to his original understanding. And it's like what Frank Turek is doing. It's like you're trying to misunderstand what someone is saying. If I were better at communicating, I feel like if I were better at communicating, I would be able to overcome that somehow. Because we are taught, I don't know if we're taught this or not, but it is certainly a natural inclination to protect core beliefs. And really, the misunderstanding that this guy was having isn't a wrong understanding of what the analogy could say. What it is a wrong understanding of what we were trying to say with the analogy. And if I were a better communicator, I would be able to clear up misunderstandings people have of what I'm saying, and I'm not able to do that. I'm just not. I see people who are able to do that. They're able to just say, "Hey, no, like, come on, let's be real. Can you at least see this logic? Whether you agree with it or not, can you at least understand it?" And I'm just not able to get there. Not in real time. Like, going back to it, I'm like, oh man, if I just said this, or maybe if I said that, or maybe if I clarified this point better, it would have cleared up the misunderstanding that this person is having of what I'm trying to say. But in the moment, I can't get there. I don't know why. And makes me feel sad because I don't care if you agree with me or not. I don't care if you come to the same conclusions that I do. I do care if through misunderstanding you're not given the opportunity, misinformation and misunderstanding, you're not given the opportunity to come to the same, that we're not given the opportunities to come to the same conclusions. Because who knows, maybe we could come to agreement if we cleared up the misunderstandings and misinformation. And agreeing is nice. It agreeing is nice. But if you're not in agreement, I would like to at least get acknowledgement that your opinions and my opinions are both valid. Or reasoned. I don't know. I don't know. And also, like, I second guess myself. Like last night I was trying to explain Gnosticism. And I know what Gnosticism is. But when language conflates having a belief with having knowledge, like it's so okay, last night I was trying to explain Gnosticism to this guy, and I used the example, I don't know, I'm agnostic about what color of shirt you're wearing, because he wasn't on camera. He popped on camera and showed me his color of shirt. I said, okay, now I'm Gnostic. I know what color of shirt you're wearing. And if I had been able to, like, think on my feet clear enough, I could have contrasted that with belief. I could have said, okay, so let's say you tell me you're wearing a blue shirt. I can believe that or not, but I wouldn't count that as knowledge just because you told me. And of course, I mean, this is the colloquial form of knowledge, not knowledge as in a justified true belief. Because if, in that sense, it would be knowledge if you are wearing a blue shirt. If you tell me you're wearing a blue shirt and I believe you, that is knowledge by that measure. But we're going more like a colloquial use of knowledge, as in, I don't know, an evidenced fact that you believe is true, maybe, versus just the justified true. A justified true belief just means you have a reason. It's a belief that you hold for a reason that is true. And it doesn't have to be a great reason, it just has to be a reason. And this is like non-Gettier cases where the justification has nothing to do with the reason for it being true. Like if I believe you're wearing a blue shirt, and my reason for wearing a blue shirt is that I know you own a blue shirt, or know that I know blue shirts exist. And it just so happens you are wearing a blue shirt. I would not say that's a justified true belief, because I have no justification for saying you own a blue shirt or are wearing said blue shirt. But if you tell me you're wearing a blue shirt, and I believe you, and you are in fact wearing a blue shirt, that is definitely a justified true belief. So it's, but I would say that's probably not the colloquial way you would use knowledge. You wouldn't say, well, I know you're wearing a blue shirt just because you tell me you're wearing a blue shirt. So I could have used this example. I could have said, okay, so you've shown me your shirt. I now know what color of your shirt. I'm Gnostic about what color of shirt you're wearing. Now, what if you had just told me you're wearing a gray shirt and I believed you? That's a belief. But is that knowledge? And I think you would have probably said, no, that's not knowledge. That's just a belief. Okay. So now we're talking about the difference between knowledge and belief. You can have a belief, but not have knowledge. And where we get to this, or where this comes to a head with our discussion last night was, I said you can be Gnostic or agnostic, and you can be a theist or an atheist. And he was like, no, you can't be an agnostic theist. And I was like, you can't. I've met agnostic theists. I've met people who believe there is a God, but don't claim to have knowledge that there is a God. And don't claim, some of them even go to the point of, like, to them, Gnosticism is the ability to know. And they say you can't know whether there is a God or not. I just believe there is one. And I got the feeling this guy was not in a place with his grounding in philosophy to really even discuss that, which to me, that's really what Gnosticism is it isn't really what knowledge do you have, it's more about what knowledge is possible. You know, so like when I say Gnosticism, that's really what I'm talking about, is the not whether it's knowledge I have or not, although I do use it that way as well. But it's also just as much about or just as often about whether such knowledge is even possible. So there's that. We also talked about like laws and lawgivers, because that's a thing they like, that theists like to bring up a lot, is, you know, if we got a law of physics, who is the lawmaker of those laws of physics? And, you know, I try to make the point that he's equivocating on the word law there, because it's two different meanings of the word law. And just because a word has two meanings doesn't mean that you can use those two meanings interchangeably. You know? Yeah. Prescriptive laws have a lawgiver. And he asked, well, who prescribed the law of gravity? I said, that's not a prescriptive law. That's a descriptive law. We see what's happening, and we say, oh, this is the way that works, and we're calling it a law. But it's not the same sense of the word law as, say, the law to not drink and drive. That's just a different sense of the different meaning of the word law. And when you use the meaning of law when you say don't drink and drive and apply that meaning to the way you use law when you're talking about law of gravity, well, that's an equivocation. Of course, he didn't know what an equivocation was, and he wouldn't let me tell him because he was convinced, because I'm an atheist, that I'm going to lie to him about what words mean. And, that would have been a great time to bring up that it really doesn't matter what equivocation means, because I'm the one who said it. It only matters what I meant when I said that, because that's really how language is used. Because if I mean something when I say that's an equivocation, and Google says, well, that's not what equivocation means, it doesn't matter what Google says, because Google didn't speak for me. I spoke, and I had a concept in my brain that I was trying to communicate into your brain. And no matter how ineffectual I did that, it doesn't change that the concept I had is the one that is trying to be communicated, and it doesn't matter what the words mean. I should really bring that up more often. I need to remember that next time someone says, let me look some word up to see what you mean. I should say, it doesn't matter what the definition says, because I'm trying to communicate something to you. And whether the definition matches what I'm trying to communicate to you is irrelevant to what I'm trying to communicate. See, this is the reason I'm bad at communicating. I don't think of this stuff in the moment. I don't even come close to thinking of any of this stuff. It takes me hours and hours of going over it and saying, oh yeah, this might have cleared up the misunderstanding. Because I don't think even after he looked it up on Google, he really understood what an equivocation was. And I think I was probably using the word correctly, so it was just his misunderstanding. But if I just said, hey, listen, it doesn't matter what the dictionary says, I'm the one who used the word. I had a concept when I was trying to use the word. The concept is the meaning, in this case, no matter what the dictionary says. So why don't I try to explain the concept to you? Why don't you let me try to explain the concept I was trying to communicate to you, instead of wasting time looking it up in the dictionary, because that doesn't even matter. It's irrelevant what the dictionary says if the concept I'm trying to communicate isn't in the dictionary. And that's why telling me what I mean when I say atheist doesn't work. You can't tell me what I mean when I use a word. You can tell me what you understand the word to mean. You can tell me what the dictionary says the word means. But you can't understand you tell me what I mean when I use a word. And if we're going to have communication, that's what needs to be figured out, is what do I mean when I say words? What do you mean when you say a word? Everything else is irrelevant. Words have meanings and uses, and they are useful for communicating those things and having a common definition. helps, can help. But if you think telling me this is the definition of a word, therefore you mean this, and it's not what I meant. If you think that has any bearing on what I was trying to say when I used the word, even if I used it incorrectly, you're fooling yourself. You can't enforce the concept in my head based on your understanding or some other external understanding of the word that I used. It doesn't change what I'm trying to say. It's also pretty funny. I feel sorry for this guy I was talking to because he could not believe that I was someone he didn't know. He was convinced I was someone else using an alt account to, I don't know, troll him or something. And I kept saying, no, I've had this. This is a username I've used for 25 years. Like, it has a long history with me, and as far as I know, with exclusively me. And I'm not here to troll you. I'm not someone that's pretending to be someone else. And it just makes me feel sad for him, you know, because apparently that for him to be that way, that has to have happened so much. People have been being mean to this guy for no reason. I mean, the conversation we had, I feel like he was less than charitable with me, a little bit. Not like overly less than charitable. Less than, I'll say this. I don't feel like he's charitable. I think he was as charitable as he knows how to be, and I don't think he knows how to be more charitable. But he was trying. I feel like he was trying. And that his first reaction when seeing someone new is, oh, this must be someone old who's just trying to be a troll. That makes me feel sorry for him. Like, people shouldn't be like that. They shouldn't be troll this guy so much that that's his initial reaction to seeing anything. Is it's someone he already knows who's just trolling him. And that goes back to the ridicule, because one of the people he thought I might be, or several of them actually, are people that make a habit out of ridiculing him. And no matter what his disagreeable takes are, what his opinions I disagree with him on, doesn't justify ridicule. Because I don't think he's being harmful. He's just trying to figure it out like the rest of us. I think maybe I will have to split this up into a few different topics and workshop a couple of like scripts out of it. Because this bit I think is important to say, but it is applicable to, you know, a lot of situations, but it's pretty specific to this group of individuals. and how I think they're kind of being toxic to each other, and it's not helping anybody to do that. And the thing is, like, you get them out of that mode, that ridicule mode, and they both do it. They all do it to each other. They ridicule each other all over the place. It goes both ways. But I've seen both of them, or not both. It's more than two people, but it's primarily two people. I've seen both of them interact with other people who aren't like that, and they're both reasonable. They both are reasonable, and try to have honest conversations with people. But when they get into this ridicule mode, they can't get out of it. They're stuck in that mode, and it's very unproductive when they do that. No one gets anywhere. The only thing you get out of that is a boost to your ego or boost to the person ridiculing gets a boost to their ego, or at best they get a boost to their ego. At worst, they avoid a hit to their ego, which makes it even more kind of pathetic. But doing stuff just for an ego boost is kind of pathetic anyway, if you ask me. Like, so you made some other person feel like shit, and therefore you feel better about yourself. Well, that doesn't say very much. That doesn't say anything good about you at all. All right, we are almost back to the car, and it's been about 3 hours, longer than I thought it would take. I figured 2.5 hours maybe, but I was also just taking it pretty chill. All right, we are arriving in 700, 600 feet, according to my computer. Oh, must have had the route go a little bit down the road there. All right, thanks people.